Hello, and welcome back to Invitation to Puzzles, where we have for you a puzzle called Caged Butterfly with a rather striking grid that is a Renban killer puzzle. To go over those rules, the digits in cages have to sum to the total that's given. Digits can't repeat in cages, but that doesn't actually matter here. And each of these purple lines needs to contain a string of consecutive digits, but the order can be jumbled. It doesn't have to be jumbled, but it can be jumbled. So we're going to have a look at this. Okay, so there's a link in the description if you want to give the puzzle a try. And now I will endeavor to solve the puzzle. As a starting point, it seems useful for me to notice that this 3 cage needs to be a 1 and a 2. And one of the consequences of Renban being a string of consecutive digits but in a jumbled order is there aren't repeated digits along a Renban. And so once I've got this 1 and 2 here, these digits which need to add to 7 can't be 1 and 2 anymore. So the only way to make this work is to minimize it at 3 and 4. Now this 6 cage actually can't be 2, 4, and so there's only one option, which is that it's 1, 5. If you think through, 1, 5, and 2, 4 are the only options. So we can go a 2 and a 1 over there. Now, these remaining digits, they just have to be 5, 6, and 7. Well, where does the 5 go? It goes there. Because this is a 1, 5 pair that tells me it doesn't go down there. And these are 6 and 7, which do, in fact, add to 13. We could also have done this in the other order and said, okay, given that the largest number I can possibly put on this wing of the butterfly is a 7, what is my sum to 13 going to be? And then we could have said, okay, this is 6, 7. So we could have done this sort of backwards. We had the optionality. Okay, so we've got that wing done. I see one more cage total, and I think this is the only other cage total in the grid that's forced right away, which is that this 24 has to be 7, 8, 9. It's the biggest it can possibly be, which makes these two 5 and 6. Okay, and I'm betting that's going to force my 13 cage, is it? Yeah, the largest that this 13 cage can actually be is, you'd think it would be 4, 5, 6, and then you'd say, Zeta, you're wrong. 4, 5, 6 is 15. But I can't, in fact, put both a 5 and a 6 in this 13 cage because of that cell. And so actually the largest this can be is 3, 4, 6, which is 13. So it is 3, 4, 6 is the answer. That's usually the question you want to ask yourself anytime you see a killer cage is, what's the smallest it can be given everything I know? What's the largest it can be given everything I know? And often you'll find out, well, it is the largest it could be, so I know what's in it, or it is the smallest it could be, so I know what's in it. And the given what I know part is important because, for example, this 3 cage I could have gotten just by asking, what's the smallest it could be? 3 as 1 and 2, it's that. But then all of these subsequent cages we've gotten by asking a sort of follow-up question saying like, well, now that I know I can't use 1 and 2, what's the smallest this can be? And similarly over here, now that I know that that's a 5 or a 6, what's the smallest this could be? It's 3, 4, and 6, which makes that a 5 and that a 6. Making that not a 6, and filling in the rest of our box here with a 1 and a 2. Okay, I see things are happening with 5s, Sudoku logically, which is that I've got a bunch of 5s looking over in this box. And in fact, I'm definitely not putting this 5 that goes in this box into the cage that sums to 5. So actually the 5 is actually placed. It just goes there. Now, this Renban definitely needs a 5. And that's owing to the fact that I'm trying to make a string of, 7 consecutive digits here? And if you think about the digits 1 through 9, if you don't have a 5, you break the digits 1 through 9 into 2 strings of 4 digits, which 4 is not as big as 7. So therefore, I need a 5 somewhere, and the 5 actually has to go here in the 9 cage because none of these other cells can be 5. And so this is a 4, 5 cage, and we actually know the order of the 4 and the 5 from that 5. Okay, that has put a 4 and a 5 onto my Renban, which notably is going to give me some more information. Namely, it tells me that this 5 cage isn't 1, 4 anymore. So it's a 2 and a 3. And now, this 13 cage, well, if I think about what the options are, it can't be 4, 9 or 5, 8. So it has to be 6, 7. Okay, and so now I get to choose which number do I want to go here, because this is currently at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this could be a 1 or an 8. Well, it can't be a 1, so it is an 8. And now this 19 cage I can fill out, namely those are 13, so therefore that is a 6, which conveniently sorts out that 7 and places the 6 in this 13 cage. Okay, this 12 cage now is not a 111 cage, so the 1 is there by Sudoku. We can go ahead and fill that in. It's not 3, 9, and so it's going to have to be 4, 8. Because the other option is 5, 7, and it's not that either. So this is going to be 4 and 8, and then the digit that is left over in my box seems to be a 9. Okay, there's my 3 and 4 over there. There's a 2. Let's see, these are 8 and 9 going over here. And we can perhaps ask the question, what's the minimum digits I can possibly put in this 16 cage, given that I can't use a 1, 2, 4, or 5. So the minimum I could make it is 3, 6, 7, which seems actually to be 16. So great. So those are a 3 and 7. That's a 6, owing to those two 6s. Also, I see that some Sudoku has happened over here, where this has become the 8 when I placed that 8. I'd completely forgotten that that cage exists. I apologize to that cage and its family. This row needs an 8 and a 9, and I actually know the order of that. Okay. So, do I need to go all the way up to 9 to make this happen? That would be... Yeah, 5. In fact, actually, this cage was actually forced in the beginning. I just didn't notice. This had to be 5, 7, 8, 9. It's the only way to make 29 and 4. Because the maximum you can do is 30 and 4, but you can't use the 6. So you end up with that. So we get a 7 and a 9 and an 8 and a 5, which in fact actually sorts out this 3, although it looks to me like it could possibly go with 4 and 5 or 2 and 1 or anywhere in between, and it might be okay. So we're going to leave that for now. We're going to try and Sudoku our way down here. Just shimmy down the butterfly, so to speak. It's an expression everyone uses, right? These are a 2-3 pair. These are a 1-4 pair, it looks like. That does not look like I got a lot of help here, if I'm being honest. Okay, well, here's at least some help. I can fill in this column and see that what's missing in this column is 1, 2, and 4. This one's not a 1. So there is a 1 up here. And now the funny thing is that 1 is actually going to tell me that this Renban can't be 1, 2, 3, because then I couldn't put a 1 anywhere in column 5. And so it's either 2, 3, 4 or 3, 4, 5. Either way, one of these cells is definitely a 4, which means neither of these is a 4, which means this is a 4. Quite lovely. And so now the 2 is up here, so now it's not 2, 3, 4 either. Now it's 3, 4, 5. And that quite spectacularly I know the order of. And so these are 8 and 9, and I know the order of that coming from over here. Okay, this is the 1 for this column, just by Sudoku, so that's the other 2, 3. Okay, and so this column, what do I have left? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, that one's not a 2. Okay. Can I do any useful Sudoku. So there's a 1 in the 17 cage. In fact, there's a 1 exactly here in the 17 cage, which is going to be even more useful than I thought. Those 2 1s and those 2 1s just tell me that's a 1. So these two add to 16, and the only way to do that in two numbers is 7 and 9. We even know the order of the 7 and 9, which seems even better. This digit is a 3 or a 4, it looks like. So in particular, that digit's not a 2 because we've got a 3-4 pair. Sorry. By that digit's not a 2, I of course mean this digit is a 2 because we have a 3-4 pair in the row. Go 2, 3, 2, 3. No 3 there, no 2 there. Okay. So now in this row, at the 1, 2, we still need a 3, 4. We've got the 5, 6, 7. We still need an 8. We've got the 7 in the form of the 7, 9 pair. So these are from 3, 4, 8. And these are actually just a triple now of 2, which is actually placed. Okay, which is great because it makes these a pair, so I don't have to do anything complicated with the killer cage. These are just 5 and 6. That's 6, 5, 7, 6. Okay, those sum to 11. That makes that an 8. If we've got an 8, we definitely need a 7. Because otherwise we're not getting down to 5, 6. And now I can't go down as far as 3 because then I wouldn't have a 4. So that's a 4 and that's a 3. The 3 and the 4 over there. The 9 and the 7 over there. Okay, and now we can just about call this done. We've got a 6 and a 5 for this column, a 3 and a 4 for this column, a 7 and an 8 for this column. Can't do that yet. Oh, apparently I can. Yes, I can if I look at all the digits that I've filled in up here, shockingly enough. 6, 7 up here. 1 and 3, it looks like to me, giving me the 2 and the 1 over here. Making that digit a 2 and that one a 9. A lovely puzzle there. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments how you enjoyed our lovely little butterfly here. And I'll see you next time on Invitation to Puzzles. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.